Most people think apartment renovation costs only go up because of inflation, tariffs, or interest rates. But recently, the US Supreme Court made a ruling in the trucking industry that could quietly affect the cost of renovations, repairs, appliances, and also property operations across the whole America. Today, I want to break down what this ruling actually means and why it matters for real estate investors and why many apartment operators are getting squeezed again. Real estate is no longer just about buying a property and then you will make money. Now it's about surviving operations. The Supreme Court recently ruled that freight brokers can be held liable for hiring unsafe trucking companies. Now, for most people, this sounds like a trucking industry issue, but it's actually much bigger than what people thought. Freight brokers are the middlemen connecting shippers with trucking companies. Therefore, these ruling brokers often had legal protection because they didn't actually directly own the trucks. Now that liability risk has increased, brokers will likely become more cautious and more selective and, of course, more expensive. Why? Because lawsuits, insurance cost, compliance system, and also legal exposure all cost more money. And those costs eventually get passed through the supply chain, including the consumer. That means higher shipping costs, stricter carrier requirements, fewer available trucking operators, and more pressure on already expensive logistics systems. Why this matters for apartment investors? This is where real estate investors need to pay attention. People forget that multifamily investing is not just finance. It's an operation business tied directly to labor, logistics, and also supply chains. Every apartment renovation depends on trucking, flooring materials, roofing materials, kitchen cabinets, countertops, appliances, lighting fixtures, HVAC systems, plumbing supplies, electrical components. All of it moves through warehouses, distributors, and trucking networks before reaching to your property. So when shipping becomes slower, more regulated, more expensive, and legally riskier, your renovation costs increase too. Not because your apartment suddenly became nicer, but because the entire system supporting your renovation or your repair became more expensive. And many operators are already under pressure. Remember, high payroll, high cost on contractors, and also everything else related to the operation, and the hidden problem crushing multifamily deals. A lot of investors still think raising interest rates are the main problem in the real estate, but honestly, operational inflation has become just as dangerous. Over the last few years, many operators have experienced, such as insurance doubling or tripling, or some of the area people got 4 times increased on their insurance, and also payroll increasing, vendors raising prices, maintenance costs raising, taxes increasing, and of course, renovation budgets exploding as well. At the same time, debt costs increased, rent growth slowed down. Even some of the area you have to drop rent to keep your occupancy or offer concessions, and residents became more and more price sensitive. All of that creates a dangerous squeeze for us real estate investor because expenses raise faster than income can increase. And this is exactly why many multifamily operators now are struggling today. The problem wasn't only interest rates. The entire operating system became more and more expensive. That's what many people underestimated. Why some investors got trapped. During the cheap money years, a lot of investors bought deals assuming endless rent growth, cheap refinancing, stable renovation costs, and also predictable operations. But real estate is not just a spreadsheet business. When supply chains break, insurance raises, labor gets tighter, and also transportation costs increase, your entire business model changes. And also many investors were too aggressive in 2021, 2022, even 2023. They relied on floating rate debt, optimistic underwriting, short-term appreciation, and also heavy renovation assumptions. Then reality showed up. Suddenly, materials cost more, contractors disappeared, and also insurance exploded. Lenders tightened, and also renovation longer because it's harder to find people to work now. That's when many operators realize cash flow matters more than projections. Now, what smart operators are doing, they are keeping larger reserves, just testing deals harder, and also simplifying renovations, controlling unnecessary spending, and also focusing on operational efficiency. Some investors are even reducing luxury upgrades because residents may not afford the rent increases needed to justify the renovation costs. Others are focusing more on occupancy, collections, resident retention, and also expenses control. Because in this market, operation discipline matters more than any time before. The era of buy anything and win is gone. Now operators actually need systems, and honestly, that's healthier long-term. Painful but healthier. So while most people look at inflation and think only about interest rates or Federal Reserve, but sometimes inflation starts in places people aren't paying attention to, like the checking now, and also the insurance, the labor, including the payroll, the fees that you need to pay the contractors to get your turn done, your repair done, and also the logistics and regulation. And those hidden pressures eventually showed up in apartment renovations, maintenance, repair costs, and also consumer prices, and also our family budgets. That's why smart real estate investors don't just watch cap rates anymore. They watch operations, because in today's market, surviving operations may matter more than finding the next deal. And the investors who understand that early will probably be the ones still standing in the next cycle. Are you going to be the one?